Hello everyone. For this week's Meet the Researcher series, we're having Dr. Daniela Andrei joining us. Daniela is a research fellow at the Center for Safety, UWA. Welcome, Daniela.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me to this series. It's really exciting to be here.
Thank you. Daniela has a very wide research interest, and she's involved in many of our research projects. But today, I'd like to get her to talk about her work on this topic of work design. Daniela, can you please tell us a bit more about your project?
Yes, definitely. So this project that I'm working on with Professor Sharon Parker seeks to understand the way people create work roles for others and what makes them create work roles in particular ways. And this is a very interesting subject for two reasons. First of all, there is a lot of knowledge about the negative outcomes of poorly designed job roles, but despite that, poorly designed roles remain prevalent, and I'm pretty sure every one of us could easily give an example of a job that we had and that was really poorly designed. And then second, although there is some research showing that people's natural tendency is indeed to create simplified, narrow jobs for others, nobody actually looked into why this thing happens.
I see. That's very interesting. So what did you do exactly in this project?
Well, the most challenging part of this project was to actually measure how people design work roles for others, because it's not something that we could easily observe in our natural environment. So our first focus was to try to develop some measures like simulations, tasks, exercises that we could use to assess how people design or create jobs. For example, in one of our simulations, we give participants a series of tasks that are performed in a sweet factory, and then we ask them to decide for each task if it should be performed by a production employee, by an expert, or by a manager. And we are using them together with other survey measures to try to understand or identify why people design jobs in particular ways in our tasks.
I know your work is still ongoing, but is there some preliminary findings you can share with us?
Yes, we are still analyzing data, and we are still developing the project, but the initial data that we have indicates that indeed our participants are more concerned with efficiency when they design jobs rather than concerned with creating engaging, stimulating, and motivating jobs for others. And there are different reasons for these that we see in our data. Sometimes they're just replicating the type of job experience that they had in the past. That is, if participants themselves worked in narrow, simplified jobs themselves, then they tend to replicate the same design in our simulations. Other times, it can be related to some negative attitudes that they have developed about people's motivation to work in general. For instance, if our participants create narrow, simplified, highly controlled jobs, it's because sometimes they think that people are naturally dislike work, tend to avoid it, and will only be working if they are attentively supervised. But the good news is that work design seems to be highly trainable, so our participants learn how to design better jobs, and sometimes even the feedback from going through the simulations help them do so.
That's very promising to know. Thanks very much, Daniela, for sharing your insight with us.
Thank you.